Hey, what's up? It's TJ here, and today we're gonna talk about how to shoot better handheld footage. Like, when your hand's shaky. Okay, so this question actually comes from one of you in the comment section, so I appreciate the question and the kind of collaboration on making these videos. I appreciate it, and here is my answer. This question actually was specific to shooting and vlogging and trying to get better handheld footage while vlogging. And my first tip for you, if you're vlogging, to buy something like this. Now, this is a small little tripod that just flips out and allows you to set it down anywhere you want to. It just screws in the bottom of your camera. Maybe you have a smaller camera than this. Maybe it's a point and shoot camera, which is perfectly fine. This actually has this little ballpoint joint here that you can kind of move it to suit how you want to hold it. And it works perfectly fine. You just hold it out like this and it moves your hand away from the camera and gives you a little bit more of a stable shot. Now, this is not going to make everything super duper smooth. It will allow you to get a better stable handheld shot. The more you move your hand away from the camera and it's not directly holding the camera, this is a good way to shoot handheld quickly. This is cheap. This is like 12, 15 bucks, something like that. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Another tip is to make sure you use a wider angle lens. This is a 10 millimeter to 18 millimeter and pretty wide on this camera. What wide angle lenses help you do is help to minimize that camera shake. Anything tighter, like 50 millimeters, even 35 millimeters and up, will amplify that camera shake. So you'll see more of the camera shake the tighter the lens is. The wider the lens is, the more it kind of dampens that camera shake. It makes it a little bit more tolerable when the view is a little bit wider and doesn't make your viewers dizzy. So make sure you have a wider angle lens. So if you have a point and shoot, make sure you're zoomed out all the way to the widest that you can possibly be. Now, the next tips are just geared towards shooting handheld in general. Maybe you want to shoot some B-roll, maybe you want to just film creative spot or something like that. Why would you want to shoot handheld? Because handheld just feels natural. It feels like you're there. It gives you that more raw feel. And a lot of people are looking for that now. They don't want such a smooth image anymore. It's like everything is so smooth now. Everybody has a gimbal, everybody has this, everybody has that. They're looking for something a little bit different, and handheld is that. I mean, it just takes you back to the beginning of when you first started shooting. For me, when I first started shooting, I didn't have anything. So I was actually shooting on Canon T3i, and I was shooting with that, and I was just shooting however I could. I was just holding the camera. I didn't know how to hold it, but I did what I could, right? So one of the first tips that I have for just people shooting maybe B-roll or creative in general with handheld shooting is make sure you have some type of grip. This is a good grip, but you may want to expand to something like a cage, something that has handles that you can change, your situation. Make sure you change like how you're holding it. Maybe you want to get low shots or high shots. Maybe you want to hold it up a little bit higher. The more handles and grips you have on this thing, the better. Now that will help you just to get a little bit smoother shots, but also have a little bit of a handheld feel. Another thing you want to do if you don't have grips or handles or anything like that, you want to use your body. You always want to say you want to have 3 points of contact. Anytime I'm shooting, I always try to use my elbow and rest it along my body and then grab my camera as I normally would. This elbow is also against my body, and having those points of contact will allow for less shaky footage. The further you hold it out, the air in between here would just start to give those shakes like everywhere, right? You'll get tired holding this thing up, especially the larger your rig is or the bigger your camera is. The smaller your camera is, the less influence the camera has on just physics. Like the camera will not be able to hold itself and you're just moving it as much as you really want to. So you want to have 3 points of contact, and you want to make sure that you are as stable as you possibly can be. Also, you want to minimize your movements. So if you're going to be walking, you want to make sure you're taking crab steps. You want to roll that foot off of your heel to your toe, and if you're walking backwards, you want to roll from your toe to your heel as smooth as you possibly can. You want to dampen the movement of your body as much as possible. So you're gonna get those 3 points of contact, and you're gonna try to move as simple as possible. For me, what I like to do is I like to use my hips. I like to just stand there and just kind of sway left and right and move left and right with my legs and my lower body, and keeping my upper body as still as possible. I do the same thing going forward. I just kind of lean forward as much as I possibly can with my body movement, with my lower body, and just keeping this upper body as still as possible. But those couple of tips, as far as like just making sure you dampen your body, will make a huge improvement. You know, your body can really dampen that movement a lot, but you have to be mindful of your steps and mindful of how you're walking and moving. The next tip took me a long time to get to, and just because I didn't have a camera that was capable of shooting in slow motion. Slow motion is something that I feel like people kind of gravitate towards just to be creative. I mean, slow motion footage just looks better in general. It just looks more creative and more cool. When you slow down your footage, it actually makes that camera movement a little bit less noticeable. So slowing down a footage that's a little bit shaky, maybe you're running or jumping up and down or moving around, slowing it down will make those movements a lot gentler to the eye, and it makes it look a little bit slower, you know, versus doing this. Imagine this, it's just a little bit more graceful. So slowing down your footage, shooting at 60 frames per second, or you shooting at 120 frames per second, making sure you double your frame rate with your shutter speed is really going to help you get smoother footage or get better handheld shots. But I will say, don't use that as a cop-out. Like, using slower footage will make things look cooler, but at the same time, you need to be creative. You need to make sure you're doing something creative with that work instead of just using slow motion footage all the time just because it just looks cool. So if you want more cinematic footage, if you want footage to look really cool handheld, I feel like those are some good tips for you. I'll probably have more later, more in-depth tips, but I just wanted to answer that question of how you can get better footage, vlogging, handheld, and other types of ways. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.